Tuesday, August 19th, 2025. Summer, honestly, has gone by extremely fast. I mean, we're already almost into late August, early September. Pretty soon, there will be that fall feeling in the air, which will be quite nice, to be quite honest with you. And then that dreadful winter, that dreadful W word comes around, and we got to wait till, I don't know, June of next year to get some heat again. This summer has been brutal, been really hot. And, you know, I somewhat crave the other season, whenever we're experiencing the current season, like during the summer. I crave winter. During the winter, I crave summer. It just keeps repeating itself like that. And the bugs this summer have been brutal, and I mean brutal with their biting. I went to a friend gathering of sorts, a party of sorts, and we were playing cornhole. I got bit in the back of my knee, and sure enough, it's swollen up to like the size of a grapefruit, and even sitting here would be kind of weird because I could feel it, you know, be all swollen and everything. And then on Friday, when we had that potluck thing before the wedding at this Airbnb in Ryrie, we're sitting there in the backyard. I don't feel myself get bit. All of a sudden, I just feel a bite on the right side of my left knee. And sure enough, the next day, that thing swells up huge. And my girlfriend's entire family was like, are you going to be okay? Do you usually have reactions like this? I'm like, it's going to be fine. I've had stuff like this happen before. Sure enough, the following day went way down, and now it's back to normal. There's still somewhat of a bite mark, but they're like doing this whole like mystery where they're like, what bit you? That looks like a spider, maybe. I don't know. Put some cream, put some this, put some of that on there. I'm like, guys, I just let things heal. That's how it works with me. If you want to get a hold of me, you can over at 208-535-1015. I guess we'll find some stuff to talk about here in just a few on K-Barrett 101. I'm still not quite sure how to feel about this. I've talked about it a couple of times on the air. You know how many men are traveling the world, shelling out tens of thousands of dollars to have their legs broken and then surgically lengthened. It's a brutal procedure. It's offered at places like the Wanna Be Taller Clinic in Istanbul, Turkey. Is that really the name of it? Or are they just making some kind of joke? I kind of want to look it up. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? If you're dumb enough to go in a place that's called Wanna Be Taller, you deserve the pain. It involves months of pain, rehab, and metal rods, but almost all the men who endure it they say gaining a few inches is worth the agony. Like they started out at 5'6", now they're 5'10" with awkwardly weird looking legs. It says it improves their dating life, self-esteem, and even their mental health. Does really being 5'10" compared to 5'6" really help you in any way, shape, or form? I don't know. I'm not a girl. I wouldn't know. Maybe we should ask Katie Lee from Z103 what she would think of some guy that's like, well, he was 5'8", but now he's 6'1". He got that extreme leg lengthening surgery, and now he's attractive somehow. Just because he decided to break his legs, he was stupid enough to go to a place like Istanbul, Turkey, get his legs broken, get him surgically readjusted to where he's taller somehow. I feel like down the line, your legs are not going to work. I'm sorry. I mean, once you mess with I don't know, the nature of things like that, your legs are definitely not going to work, and then they're going to have to be amputated. Next thing you know, you're much shorter because you're in a wheelchair, you're seated down for the rest of your life, and you're going to regret your decision. You know, I'm all for home renovation. I was talking about it yesterday, how it's hard for me to get rid of things because I'm, for some reason, emotionally attached to them. They could be something as dumb as my little Funko Pops on the top of my movie collection. For some reason, I want to get rid of those, but at the same time, I just can't. Because, well, they were gifts. A few of them were gifts from my parents, but I just don't really see the need for them anymore. But I've been recently trying to figure out ways to tie my apartment together. And I know it's a gradual process, really. And I was looking here. This woman in New York, she's turning her entire apartment into a shrine to the Titanic and showing the whole transformation on TikTok. Now, not my thing. I don't care about turning my apartment into what looks like to be a sunken ship. But she's doing everything from blue walls and blue carpet to mimic the ocean to dozens of replicas from the movie, which sounds pricey, really. She says she is a huge fan of the movie, but she also says the main reason she is doing it is because, well, she's bored. Is she by herself? What money does she make? How much money does she make, I should say? Living in New York City, first of all, I'm sure she makes quite a good amount if you are able to afford a place in New York City, let alone also not only be able to afford a place, but also revamp it to this. I'm looking at a little screenshot of the video here. Should I turn the volume? Nah, that's okay. I don't want to turn the volume on. And she starts cussing up a storm and ruins this entire break. But if you want to look it up, I'm sure if you type in on TikTok, NYC apartment Titanic, I'm sure it'll pop up. The Little League World Series rolls on this week, and through the weekend, there's been a bit of controversy this year as some fans are demanding a big-time change because they see the game as unfair. The pitchers have gotten so big and so strong, they're now throwing pitches over 80 miles per hour, while the distance between the mound and home plate is still 46 feet. This is the equivalent of Major League batters facing 107-mile-per-hour fastballs. While the solution would be to increase the size of the fields, it's unlikely to happen as it would require a major change to every Little League field around the world. Did you know Major League Baseball operates an online restaurant that lets fans order ballpark concession stand food from the comfort of their own home? The restaurant or delivery service is called Ballpark Bites, and they've got it rolling in 530 cities in most states in the country. The menu is a bit limited, but it looks like you can have stuff like ballpark dogs and chicken strips and fries brought right to your door. Pretty cool, right? There's no question that football is a rough sport to play. A recent survey of retired NFL players who played during the 1988 season found that nearly all the players reported having at least some pain the past 3 months, with half admitting they had pain every day, but still 9 out of 10 ex-players said they would make the same decision to play professional football if given the chance again. Could you imagine being that one guy? It's like, nah, I'm good. Even among players who said the NFL had a negative effect on both their physical health and mental well-being, 78% said they would decide to play again. That does it for your Shot Clock Sports Update right here on K-Bear 101. There has been a lot of freaky stuff happening with animals. I talked about the rabbits in Colorado. They're growing tentacles. People are saying to avoid getting close to them, obviously. Wasn't there something I read yesterday about these Colorado squirrels? Something's going wrong with them. Colorado squirrels, what they getting, warts or something? Zombie squirrels covered in oozing warts. Yeah, sorry if you're eating lunch right now. I apologize. Or maybe, what do they call it? A linner? Ugh. A mix between lunch and dinner, linner. Yeah, I'm looking at a picture of one of these squirrels. They got these warts all over them. Looks disgusting. They're like tumors, actually. That's what it says here. They've been spotted skulking through backyards across the United States. The grotesque-looking gray squirrels photographed in states like Maine and also across parts of Canada have appeared in recent months with these oozing sores and hairless patches on their heads and limbs. Well, there's that story. And now I just read a whole thing about how these wild pigs are turning neon blue in California. They're basically ingesting rat poison, which is then turning their skin blue. Like blue as in a Smurf. Like that level of blue. So here's the funny part is that they're telling they're telling people not to eat the pigs who don't look blue in that area. I'm assuming something like that. Even if the meat doesn't look blue, it might still be toxic. Cooking doesn't neutralize this stuff. So if you're planning to serve wild hog at your next hoof and hideout backyard bash, think again, apparently. If I can't have fun, at least I like watching other people have fun. For the most part, I can't fit on most roller coasters. As sad as that sounds, it's true. There was one roller coaster at Knott's Berry Farm when I worked there, and I'm sure it's still there, Accelerator. Yeah, it goes from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 2 seconds. And the height limit is 6'5", and rightfully so, because if you're taller than that headrest and you take off, again, 0 to 60 in 2 seconds, If your head's above that headrest, you're snapping back, breaking your neck, and dying. And next thing you know, your corpse is on that roller coaster, just flailing around. And the roller coaster's not even all that crazy. It's just one giant, up, one giant ascent, and then straight down descent, and then, one twist, and that's literally it. But I will never, ever, ever be able to ride that roller coaster. Ever. And because if I do, I'm just going to die, or maybe, just snap my neck. That's about it. This guy, I'm reading an article here about this one British man who rode 55 different roller coasters in 1 week. Good for you, bud. Good for you. Guinness World Records announced Dean Stokes is the inaugural holder of the record for the most roller coasters ridden in 1 week. This guy paid to have his spot in that book. Did the Guinness World Record representative go on every other roller coaster with him, or every roller coaster with him, I should say? There was that whole story I just talked about not that long ago of those dudes getting leg-lengthening surgery in order to be taller. If you go taller than 6'5", you're in trouble. I can just let you know that. Everyone thinks it's cool to be the extremely tall guy. But when you have difficulties trying to sit in a car, find a car that fits you, or even just go on a roller coaster, you can't go on roller coasters when you're this tall, okay? It's a big price to pay. Would you rather be tall, or would you rather be able to ride amusement park rides? That's a good would you rather. One of my biggest fears is being accused of something that I truly did not do, and I can't convince anybody whatsoever that I'm indeed innocent. I'm kind of laughing at this, but then also I'm fearful for this guy. No, I'm feeling bad for this dude. This guy named Alton Oliver. He was acquitted, but he was on trial over the 2022 killing of a deputy. He testified that he shot the deputy in self-defense, right? There's this whole thing. Well, the Georgia judge flubbed the verdict reading and told the defendant he's guilty. And then, luckily, after that, hey, it says Oliver and his legal team sat in silence, but people in the courtroom started audibly questioning the judge's reading, prompting him to double-check the paper. And then the judge asked the room, "Didn't I say not?" To which a number of people replied, "No." He apologized and then reread the statement, this time correctly. People in the courtroom laughed and applauded. I could only imagine how that guy, Alton Oliver, must have felt. His heart must have dropped and then quickly rose back up again. Unbelievable. Almost reminds me of that time Steve Harvey messed up the, that beauty pageant on live TV when he said the wrong country's name and said, "Oh, I'm so sorry, you shouldn't celebrate. It's this other person who won the whole thing." I can't tell which one's worse. Most likely I would say, being the judge, not being able to read a proper verdict. That one's a tad worse. Some crazy stuff happening with animals, like I mentioned earlier on the show. Pigs are bright blue after eating ingesting rat poison. Then there was those squirrels in Colorado with those oozing warts. Oh. And then also, what was there before? The rabbits with the tentacles growing out of them. And now, what else did we talk about last week? Wasn't there radioactive rhino horns? Well, they were injecting radioactive material into the rhino horns to save them. That was a good thing. But then there was also something weird with the rabbits in North Carolina. And now the FDA is warning the public about possibly radioactive shrimp that may have been sold at Walmart in 13 states. I'm trying to scroll down here to see if Idaho is listed here. I'm not seeing it, but I still would be kind of weary about ingesting any type of shrimp from Walmart, out of all places. The Great Value brand as well, the store brand. Yeah, the bags that you usually see right there next to the other fish. The frozen, raw, easy peel, tail-on, farm-raised, white shrimp in the 2-pound bags. I would avoid those. Okay, and just any news popping up whatsoever about the FDA investigating possibly radioactive shrimp sold at Walmart drives me to stay away from that particular seafood. I talked about the bug bite that I got on Friday this past week that has made my knee basically grow another knee. It's swelled up. What's the proper word? It's swelled up that much? Well, it did for like a day, and then now it's back to normal with just a bite mark on me, but I don't know what bit me. It's been a whole mystery with me, my girlfriend's family, all of that, trying to figure out what exactly it is. I've had reactions like this before recently, like I mentioned at the beginning part of the show, that some bug bit me in the back of my knee, made the back of my right knee swell up, and it was hard to sit down and what's it called? Sit down in this chair and have the bite touch my thigh. It was a weird thing, right? Now, this other bite still seems like the same bug made my knee grow huge into like a grapefruit-sized sphere, It's like the Las Vegas sphere is right there on my knee. The bugs have been aggressive this summer, and I completely forgot to talk about this when it popped up last week on my Facebook feed. The specific song from Skrillex, Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites. There's this 2019 study that people are now bringing up that if you play the song, it could act as a mosquito repellent. The music's mix of high and low frequencies appears to disrupt mosquito behavior, potentially delaying attacks, reducing blood feeding, and interfering with mating. Now, I don't know if it was a mosquito that attacked me or a spider, but luckily my girlfriend's sister's husband, her brother-in-law, is a doctor. So we FaceTimed him. We're like, hey, does this look okay? And he's like, yeah, just put on an antibiotic. You'll be fine. Just one of those things. But yeah, if you have a mosquito problem in your backyard, just blast that dubstep. Drive them away. Today's What the Headline comes courtesy of Florida, of course. A 51-year-old man was arrested after threatening a landscaper with a 12-inch dagger while dressed in a full jester costume. Police say Anthony Marzola wasn't clowning around when the lawnmower noise pushed him over the edge. He storms out of his car like some medieval court reject, dagger in hand, demanding the landscaper to stop mowing. The guy in the mower actually had to use it as a shield. Now here's the kicker. Marzola runs the psychedelic jester smoke shop, so the outfit makes sense. Could you imagine having to put that on every day? But why he had a Renaissance Fair dagger in the glove box is anyone's guess. Charges filed. Judge just basically says, stay away from the landscaper. If you're dressed as a jester and threatening people with a dagger, you don't need a smoke shop. You need a therapist. All right. Where was he able to get the dagger? You know what? It's Florida. I shouldn't question it. I literally just talked about being too big for things compared to other people. And you're never really too old to embrace embrace your inner child, right? This guy, this 40-year-old man got himself completely stuck, feet and head first, in a slide in Vernon, Connecticut. He was folded in half. Firefighters had to bring in ventilation gear to keep him cool and eventually cut open part of the slide that he was stuck in to set him free. After about 30 minutes of just public humiliation, he was freed, checked out by EMS. He refused further treatment, probably wanted to just go home and disappear into shame as fast as possible. All right. I was recently at somebody's house, and they have a good amount of money, so they had this tiny little slide in the basement that was made for the kids. And they were asking me, hey, do you want to go down it? I'm like, what do you think? I'm nearly 7 foot, 350 pounds. I would knock this slide to the ground and ruin it for everybody, Well, here's a back-to-school story you can't make up. A school district had to cancel classes on the 5th day of school because somebody stole the catalytic converters from all their buses. Every single one, 20 buses out of commission, leaving students stuck at home, parents stuck scrambling. Now, luckily, my parents drove me to school. I have never once rode a school bus. I was just driven by my parents every single morning because my parents are business owners. They control the hours, of their business, which is something I only dream of, deciding when to be open, when to be closed, that type of thing. My dad has never worked a Monday ever, I don't think. Well, he'll go in on Mondays sometimes to work on side stuff here and there, but for the most part, he's off on Mondays. He only works like 4 days a week, and he's been doing it for quite some time. Helped pay for, both of his kids, both of the whole family live pretty well. Shout out to my parents. Shout out to their trophy store. I've had my catalytic converter stolen before. I've talked about that story a bunch of times on the air. I was spending the night at my ex-girlfriend's house, and my parents didn't know about it. Sure enough, I wake up in the morning, go out to my car to go back to my parents' place. Vroom, vroom, like my Honda Element sounded something straight out of Fast and Furious. And I didn't know what to do. She didn't know what to do. And so I called my dad saying, hey, I had to admit that I was over at her place the whole time. And he's like, check below the car. And I'm like, well, it kind of looks like there's this part missing. My dad knew right away that somebody stole the catalytic converter. That's a huge thing now, to steal those and just sell the copper for money. 20 buses completely vandalized, out of commission for this school district in Indiana. How sad. All right, here's my first world problem. We had 2 sessions open in here of Adobe Audition, which means when I go to record the podcast, if I do start recording and I click something else on another screen, it stops the recording. And so I had to basically just scrap a previous break that everyone heard on the air, but they won't hear on the Peaches Pit Party podcast, talking about how I previously talked about. It's a whole confusing thing. I shouldn't have brought it up. I'm sorry. Let's move right on into today's To Peach Their Own question. What's the smallest, dumbest purchase you've ever made that brought you ridiculous amounts of joy? Someone just simply put silly putty. I'm 64, doubt younger people will know what it is. The little red egg sits on my desk, and during lawn calls, I crack the baby open, stretch, pull, roll it, snap it. I love it. Someone wrote tiny succulent plant. Another one for this question, what's the smallest, dumbest purchase you've ever made that brought you ridiculous amounts of joy? A helmet with horns for $3 at a garage sale brings me joy. Simple as that. Let me know your answer. 208-535-1015 for To Peach Their Own. Hey, K-Bear, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. What's the dumbest, smallest purchase you've ever made that brought you ridiculous amounts of joy?
Okay, so this was actually just recently, the Comic-Con that they held in Idaho Falls. We had bought my partner a sword as a wedding gift, and his was like $400. But I bought a little $2 3D printed spider, and he felt all bad because I spent a whole bunch of money on his sword. But I was so excited about this 3D printed spider.
So what did you name the spider?
His name is Azul.
Oh, very nice. And
he's blue.
Is the sword like proudly on display above a door or above the mantle, I should say?
He doesn't get it yet, not until we're officially married. It's like a preemptive wedding gift.
Gotcha. Okay. Wait, is this supposed to be a big surprise?
No, he knew about it. I was going to order a sword, but we were there, and he found one that he absolutely fell in love with. So I was like, I was planning on getting you one anyways. So I had bought it for him, and he felt so bad. He's like, oh my gosh, you just spent all this money on me. And I was so excited. I was like, I don't care. I have this little cute spider, and he stands up, and you can move his legs.
That's awesome. To Peach Their Own, in case you are just now tuning in, today's question, what is the smallest, dumbest purchase you've ever made that brought you ridiculous amount of joy? Looking at the K-Bear 101 Idaho Rock and Metal Facebook group, I like John's answer. He just simply put Boston Baked Beans candy, which is one of my mom's absolute favorites. John, a cold beer, there you go. Scotch tape from Johnny, all right. Let's go with something more in depth here. Chelsea, I have so many small, dumb things that give me joy. Something that stands out. I always liked looking at tarot cards, but never had a desire to buy any until I saw the Dark Crystal set. My daughter was certain I was going to get the Fallout deck next to it. I may be obsessed with Fallout, but the Dark Crystal holds a sacred space in my heart. There you go. Another answer from Amanda. An air freshener from the dollar store. It's a gecko with a suction cup on its belly. It sticks to my window. How fantastic is that? What's the smallest, dumbest purchase you've ever made that brought you ridiculous amounts of joy? Let me know, 208-535-1015. If not, I'll just talk about something else for the remainder of the hour. Hey, K-Bear, what's the smallest, dumbest purchase you've ever made that brought you ridiculous amounts of joy?
My item that I bought is a gold sparkly platypus.
Nice. All right, where'd you get it from?
I got it from convenience store over in Victor. I absolutely fell in love with it because I'm always saying, does God have a sense of humor? Yes, he does, because there's a platypus. You can't tell me he does not have a sense of humor.
Oh, yeah, you can't. There's certain animals out there. The platypus is definitely one of them. Manatee. What else is pretty fun? Those ugly fish that live near the bottom of the ocean that look like, I don't know what they're called. Ugly fish. I'm sure if I Google search it. Yeah, the first one to pop up, literally right there, the blobfish.
Oh, the blobfish. That big nose thing.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to Peach's Pit Party, the podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please share, subscribe, and rate the podcast. Peach's Pit Party is hosted by me, Peaches, a.k.a. Brendan Peach, and is a production of Riverbend Media Group. For more information or to contact the show, visit riverbendmediagroup.com. Until next time, Peach out.